For 36 years, from 1787 to 1823, wealthy families across colonial America quietly sent their troublesome sons to a place called St. Augustine Seminary in Virginia. They believed it was a center of religious education, discipline, and spiritual correction. But here's the chilling fact: not a single one of those young men ever came back. Church records show 247 boys enrolled. Yet, not one became a priest. Not one returned home. Their disappearance remained an unsolved mystery, until 1998, when construction workers uncovered a hidden archive of documents that revealed the shocking truth. St. Augustine wasn't a seminary at all. It was a prison, an elaborate scheme of extortion and espionage, disguised as religious training. Few people dare to tell this story, because the influence of the Sterling family, the masterminds behind it, still runs deeper than most realize. But today we will. Before we continue into the dark history of Father Edmund Sterling and his unholy seminary, make sure you subscribe, hit the bell icon, and tell us in the comments from which state you're joining us for this tale of corruption and horror. Virginia, 1787. Plantations grew fortunes. Families built dynasties. And secrets were more valuable than gold. In Henrico County, the Sterling family appeared to be respected merchants. But their third son, Edmund Sterling, had a gift unlike his brothers, not for trade but for manipulation. He understood human weakness and how to exploit it. When Edmund announced he was founding a Catholic seminary in Protestant Virginia, people assumed it was eccentric religious zeal. In truth, it became the foundation of one of colonial America's darkest enterprises. St. Augustine Seminary looked legitimate: stone buildings, imported craftsmen, a vast library. Wealthy families believed it was a sanctuary for their troubled heirs, sons who asked too many questions, uncovered dangerous family secrets, or simply didn't fit into the dynasty's future. But instead of education, Father Sterling was extracting something else: their family's deepest secrets. In 1789, Jonathan Whitmore, son of a Charleston shipping magnate, stopped sending letters home. His family sent an overseer to check on him. The overseer found prayers, classes, discipline, all seemingly normal. But when he asked to see Jonathan, Sterling claimed the boy was in spiritual retreat and couldn't be disturbed. That night, the overseer spied on evening prayers. What he saw chilled him. Students filed in with eerie, robotic obedience. Their faces were blank, almost lifeless. Their responses to prayers perfectly synchronized. Among them, he thought he saw Jonathan, but this was not the rebellious young man who had left Charleston. This was a hollow shell. And when the overseer counted heads, there were only 19 students present, though Sterling claimed 37 were enrolled. The Whitmores stayed silent. Better silence than scandal. And silence was exactly what Sterling relied on. By the 1790s, the seminary had a whisper reputation: the place where families sent inconvenient sons. The process was subtle but effective. Students were well-fed, educated, and housed in comfort. But slowly, their letters became eerily similar: short, formulaic, always praising the seminary. What they didn't know was that their wine was laced with measured doses of opium. Enough to dull resistance. Enough to make them compliant. Within months, rebellious heirs became quiet, obedient shadows. Families thought their boys had found faith. In reality, they were broken and drugged into submission. Meanwhile, Sterling kept detailed records, files on every family's corruption, illegal slave trading, fraudulent land deals, even murders disguised as accidents. He had created a web of secrets so strong that no family dared pull away. In 1796, Charles Randolph was sent to St. Augustine after discovering his father's illegal slave trade operations. At first, Charles resisted. Months later, his letters home praised the very crimes he once condemned. But his brother, Thomas Jefferson Randolph, noticed the truth. When visiting Charles, Thomas saw dilated pupils, shaking hands, and no memory of their childhood dog. He began investigating. What he uncovered was horrifying. Of the 247 students enrolled, most had simply vanished. Families were being bled dry by escalating fees. Shipping records revealed drugs and prison-like construction materials delivered to the seminary. Then came the most damning evidence, medical notes from Dr. Henley, a physician secretly treating Stirling's drugged students. His records described accidents designed to quietly eliminate boys who couldn't be controlled. One list revealed 23 boys had already been killed. Another list, titled Pending Resolution, included Charles Randolph's name. In May 1799, Thomas and Martha Henley, the doctor's widow, infiltrated the seminary. Beneath its stone halls, they discovered basement cells and a full medical facility used for poisoning and staged deaths. They found Charles Randolph heavily sedated, days from death. But worse, their discovery revealed Stirling's true purpose. He wasn't just blackmailing families. He was selling their secrets to British intelligence. The seminary was a spy operation, meant to destabilize American society by controlling its wealthiest families. When Thomas confronted Stirling, the priest made his ultimatum: expose me, and you destroy every family here, including your own. But Thomas had prepared. On May 18, 1799, Virginia militia stormed the seminary. Stirling's men resisted, but the network was exposed. Families confessed their crimes publicly, stripping Stirling of his leverage. 18 students were rescued alive, though addicted and permanently scarred. 23 bodies were found buried on the grounds. Stirling himself vanished, never captured, never seen again. The scandal shattered Virginia's elite. Generations of respected families collapsed under the weight of exposed corruption. The revelations about British funding fueled rising tensions that would lead to the War of 1812. The ruins of St. Augustine stood abandoned for decades, locals whispering of ghostly lights and cries in the night. Later excavations revealed more hidden chambers, proving Stirling's empire was even larger than anyone had feared. This story reminds us, sometimes, the greatest monsters aren't strangers in the dark, but men of faith, family, and power who know exactly how much your silence is worth. So what do you think? Do you believe the full truth of the Stirling Seminary was uncovered, or are there still secrets buried in Virginia's hills? If this tale sent chills down your spine, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. More mysteries await, stories of greed, power, and the shadows people will embrace to protect their names. Because as we've just seen, some families will sacrifice everything. Even their own children.